Back, everybody. Here we are to do another IELTS Task 1. This one, contrary to popular belief, is not doing bar charts, it's doing maps. And as always, we'll be doing the same thing, a look at how to analyze the task and to look at grammar. A couple of key points before we move on. Please always remember, practice till you can do it right, then practice till you can't do it wrong. If your test is tomorrow, this might help you, but really you want to practice these things, internalize them. That way you will never forget them and have them for the test. Remember, knowing is not enough. All right, you need to internalize them. See the first point. Also, analysis and organization are most important. The better you understand the data in front of you and the task in front of you, the easier it will be to write this task. Again, my main advice, as always with improving, is going to be internalize, repeat. So try rewatching the videos. That will help. So if you like these videos, watch them again. Watch the other videos. They all repeat the same kind of ideas. But you don't need to watch more videos, but really make sure you internalize everything that's talked about here. So review and repeat. All right, that's the advice. So take a look over here. We've got this large map to look at. This is from a recent test. Two maps show the road access to a city in 2007 and 2010. Summarize by reporting main features and make comparisons. So what I would recommend is take 5 minutes, pause the video, take a look, go ahead. All right, welcome back. I'm sure you did a wonderful job analyzing. Let's take a look at this together. This one's pretty straightforward. Not a lot has changed with the hospital itself. The parking has been split and moved, so you can see those both are there, and the bus station has replaced the bus stops, which used to be here. Also note we have the compass, north, south, west, and east. This task, you can use the present or the past. Generally, I say if you specifically mention in 2007, then I would recommend using the past. I would recommend pick one and use it, or try not to mix them, but don't worry too much if you mix them. It doesn't make a big difference. I don't think the examiners really care I know they don't really care if you use different tenses. As long as they are correct and the sentence is correct, you should be fine. So let's take a look. What I usually recommend is just take that task for the most part. In this case, I've almost copied it word for word. If you're going to spend 3 minutes summarizing, don't do it, just copy it. You need that time to write. This is an unimportant sentence. Really, you're not getting any points for it. Main points I've made here, a number of changes were made to the hospital. All right, now this is probably the most interpretation you want to do to make public access to the hospital easier. Generally, you don't need to make any conclusions, but this one's a pretty safe one to make. It does make the access easier. There's a bus station, that's an improvement. There's a car parking, that's an improvement. Generally, avoid making assumptions and assumptions about the motivation, but that's a safe one, I would say. Then remember, one paragraph should have one idea. In 2007, access to the hospital was simple and limited. So this is kind of the first sentence, and it tells me this paragraph is about 2007, and it was all very simple. That's the main idea for the paragraph, and it tells me the paragraph is about the old map. To the north, there is a hospital. Nice and simple. That's the main feature. The hospital is a pretty big feature, so I started with that. Which is surrounded. So get onto your passive forms, which is surrounded by a single road, which is known as Ring Road, full stop. Now, this is one of the most important words in IELTS, this. So I say, this is connected to the city road. So this hospital, or this road is connected to the city road to the south by the hospital road. So you can see the Ring Road is connected to City Road by the hospital road. And I mentioned here to the south. just to give a bit of perspective. So I've mentioned north to the south. Adjacent to the hospital, very nice piece of language for describing maps and especially for close proximity. Adjacent to the Hospital Road is the car park, which in 2007, I would say that's probably a good was, or is. Either way will work, but I usually have a rule. If I use the specific time, I try to use the past simple. So here, I would use past simple, but if you have is, that's fine as well, but I prefer that. Was for both the public and staff. On either side of Hospital Road are 3 bus stops, comma. So I said there's 3 bus stops on either side, which makes a total of 6 stops. So again, if you see the other videos, I love to use these participle clauses. Take a look at the other videos. They really show you how to do it. Then, by 2010, all right, so I've got another number, time. Despite the hospital itself remaining untouched, a number of changes had been made. So one of the key points here is that I've just made a point. Yes, the hospital is the same. A number of changes were made. So small thing, pretty fancy piece of language, but keep in mind, as I've said in other videos, by had. So a number of them had been made. The old parking lot remained, but was made into a staff-only parking area. So I've talked about how this is here, it is still here, but now it is staff only. To the east of the hospital, a new parking lot was built. So again, this is one of the verbs that frequently will be passive for public use. Also, I've mentioned the old parking lot and now it's only staff, so it makes sense to mention the public use parking lot. I could also change this sentence to say, public parking is now to the east. In fact, that might be a little bit better, but this is fine as well. 2 roundabouts were built on Hospital Road. Now, this is an example of how to have clear progression in your writing. So I've mentioned 2 roundabouts. Now I should explain them. One is at the intersection of Ring Road and Hospital, and the other at City and Hospital Roads. So one is at the intersection of Ring and Hospital Roads to the north, and the other at City and Hospital Roads toward the south. All right, so again, that's a pretty long and complex sentence. Take a minute and read it over quickly, or take your time and read it over. Both provide easy access to the new bus station, so I've made the point that both of them also connect to the bus station here in the map. Both provide easy access to the new bus station, which has replaced the 6 bus stops. And then, again, just to highlight it, this was built directly opposite the staff car park, so it just highlights the location in writing. So that's a short video today. Maps can be a bit confusing, but take a moment, read over the text that you see here. It gives you a lot of helpful pieces of language, pieces of grammar, and things to think about. As always, if any of this grammar is either a little confusing or you're not totally sure, a good thing is just to watch some of the other videos. They all highlight these grammatical structures. All right, so just my final notes, as always, grammar notes. Grammar depends on analysis. The more carefully you understand the data or the information, the better your grammar can be. So again, I make this point. Yeah, the hospital's the same, but there were a lot of changes. That allows me to use this higher level of grammar as well as past perfect. Don't worry too much about paraphrasing. A lot of IELTS teachers try to find all these creative ways to do this, and so people spend a lot of time on it. I don't really think it matters. I know it doesn't really matter. The worst thing they will do is they simply will not count it in your word count. And to be honest, the word count is the least of your problems. What's more important is clearly and effectively describing the text. I assume you guys are trying to get a 6.5 or a 7, so you need to be thinking this way. That is all for today. It was a nice short video. There's other maps, other bar charts that you can check out. Thanks for sticking around to the end, and I wish you all the best of luck on your IELTS test. Feel free to leave me a comment if you have any success or if you don't. Always happy to hear from you. Have a good day.